Hello, can you hear me? And Porto. How is everything in Porto? Can you hear me? Hello, Porto. No one in Porto? They can hear me
Olá,
well?
Lisboa.
Olá, Madalena. Hi.
Tudo bem?
Everything is great. How's the weather up there?
It's amazing. Super sunny.
Great. Great. So welcome everybody. Welcome in Porto and welcome here in Lisboa. We are in our 27th edition of our monthly Hangout, Above and Beyond Hangout. And so I just wanted to give you some highlights of what's happening here in our Portuguese ecosystem. Well, starting of course with first and foremost our SIM conference. I don't think we can talk about anything else during this week. So this will be a major event taking place next week in Porto, in Alfândega do Porto. So May the 2nd through the 4th. And we're set to promote connections and matchmaking between startups and investors. So SIM conference stands for Startups and Investment Matching. It'll be a major event for all of the ecosystem, from founders to startup enthusiasts. And so it's a you don't want to miss it kind of event, okay? So keep tuned. Besides this focus on connections as well, we have roundtable conversations, workshops, keynote speakers such as Tim Ferriss, Sitartelli, Mike Siegel, or Kathy Wang. So a lot of great conversations, a lot of great insights to be had. There are sure to be amazing takeaways for everybody involved. So the good news is you're still on time to grab your ticket. And so all you have to do is go to simconf.com and register. And we have a special offer for everybody here in this Hangout, here in Lisbon and in Porto. We have a special discount code for you. Okay, so memorize it now. It's all caps, Hangout 100, okay? Hangout 100. But afterwards in our networking part of this event, we can talk a bit more and answer some more questions if you have. Well, as well, among several side events that will be happening during the SIM conference, we have the first edition of Fuck Up Nights Porto, okay? This will happen on May the 2nd at 7 p.m. at Porto Innovation Hub. You can find all the info in their LinkedIn page, Fuck Up Nights Porto. Okay, check them out. Also, we are helping map the Portuguese Web3 ecosystem. So if you work on Web3 from or in Portugal, we want to hear from you. So take the survey at huovadisweb3.com, huovadisweb3.com, and let's map Web3 together. So the subject that brings us together here today is from SIM Circuit to SIM Conference. As I told you, we can't stop talking about SIM Conference. And today in our panel, we'll have in Porto, Lourdes Gramacho, President at Investors Portugal, and here in Lisbon, Tomás Archer, Partner and Chief Innovation Officer at iMatch, Rui Gouveia, CEO at Build Up Labs, and our own Executive Director, António Dias Martins. And moderating the conversation, we have in Porto, Fernando Fraga, our Head of Growth and Acceleration. And I would like to thank you all in advance. Well, for starters, we have also 3 startups with us that will be sharing their ideas, but I'll let João Moreira Pires present them to you, so let's dig right in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samaria. Hi everyone, welcome to another Above and Beyond Hangout. Let's dive deep into this right now. So I would like to call first in Porto, Maria João Maia, to tell us all about Corium Biotech.
Okay, so thank you all for being here and listen, as I told you, a story about more than 2 million animals that are killed each year to become supplies for fashion industry. I'm talking about crocodiles, iguanas, snakes, all kind of exotic animals that are being farmed and raised just to become a bag or a wallet. So we felt at Corium Biotech that this was not possible anymore. We identified this problem. Exotic leather is a major problem in fashion because of supply chain, because of animal welfare, because of the customers. And thankfully that happens that way. Customers are pressuring the community and the fashion brands to move to find alternatives. So currently there are no alternative materials that can encompass all the great characteristics of leather, and that we came in with this idea, create a cruelty-free exotic leather through a process where the animals are cultured, the skin, are cultured for animals from animal cells. So this is something that we performed first for human skin during our PhD. We collect the cells from a dead animal, then we reconstruct the skin and we turn it into leather. We have an IP already submitted, and this process has major advantages. So we are biocircular. We can save more than 8,000 million liters of water per year, and more important than this, more than 2 million animals per year that again are killed to become suppliers for fashion industry. So comparing to what exists in these leather alternatives, we have of course plastic-based leather that is not eco-friendly and is not appealing to these high-end brands. We also have plant or microorganism-based leather as banana or coffee beans type of leather, but these are not as durable as real leather, and mostly, some of them, the majority of them, still have some plastic in their composition. So they were appealing to luxury brands at the beginning, but right now even the brands that already started working with these alternative materials discontinued production because they understood that as plastic was still involved, it was not a real alternative. So right now it's not 48 anymore, it's 90 right now. Companies working on these bio-based alternatives, but this hasn't changed. Only 4 worked in cell-based alternatives, and we are the only ones that are working exclusively on the exotic animals. So why is now the time to do this? Because we have the pressure of the customers saying that things need to change, because we have technologies now that allow us to scale this, so it's not impossible anymore. The industrialization is possible and we can prove it, and this reflects on the market of these types of sustainable materials that is growing very, very quick. So right now we have our first prototypes. We already closed this round. We closed the round and we are now working on the product development to improve our prototypes, and the goal is that in 18 months we will be starting an industrial pilot, preferably with a client that we already identified. So this is the team. Me and Margot, we are the co-founders. We have a PhD in molecular and cellular biology. We worked with reconstruction during our PhD, and we also have João, that is our communication strategist. And now more people will start working with us from May and June on. So we, of course, are advised and endorsed by great advisors and by UPTech. We are a spin-off of Uporto, and I hope that I convinced you that this is a change that we all have to think about and we all have to engage. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria João. What a great idea you are developing. And now here in Lisbon, please welcome Miguel Santana and Diogo Santos from Headit. Applaud the man.
So, hello everyone, good evening. So first of all, thank you for the invite. We are Headit, and today, real quickly, I wanted to talk with you. Oh, first of all, so this is one of our first pitches in English, so there are a couple of mistakes in our pitch, so excuse me for any mistakes. So, getting right into the problem. After an appointment with a cardiology doctor that I had, and then a conversation after it, we discovered a problem which occurs not only in Portugal, in our belief, but also in the whole world, so everywhere, which is doctors have to focus a lot on documentation and not actually giving the best service possible and giving the full time that they have to the patient. So 25% of the duration of medical appointments nowadays, or more in some cases, are used for documentation. And 1 in 4 young doctors suffer from burnout, according to the Portuguese Medical Council. So with this problem in mind, we got to our product, which is basically a product which allows for transforming the conversation between a doctor and the patient in a medical report. This not only allows for the doctor to focus fully on the patient, as I already said, but also leave the computer to do this documentation side, which isn't really all that useful and not that purposeful for a human. This also allows for clinics and hospitals to grow their revenue, as well as, at the same time, better the service that they offer to the patients. Real quickly, our product uses basically a speech-to-text model, and with a LLM, like ChatGPT, which is what we used for our MVP, gives you the medical report.
So competition-wise, we've identified DeepScribe and Ognitu. The thing is, they only operate in the US market, so as most of our competition does. So if they wanted to impact the European market, they would have to go through a lot of regulatory barriers. We've also identified TonyCap, which is a Portuguese startup, and they came out like 3 weeks ago trying to solve the same problem as us. The thing is, they don't have a product yet. Money-wise, we are planning on charging $140 a month per user. This allows clinics and private hospitals to break even in 1 to 2 days max. And after some quick math, we've come to a value of 18 million euros per year in annual turnover, having in mind a 10% market share in Portugal. What comes to traction, we are incubating in Startup Lisbon. We're getting in the last batch, which was actually announced today. We already have an official partner, which is Aquele Espaço. It's a private clinic and much more interested in our product. And we've validated our problem with 10 plus medical interviews with health professionals on the field. Again, this is our team. My name is Diogo Santos. This is Miguel Santana, and José Pereira is at home in Coimbra, still working. So yeah, we've been building this in stealth. So we have not announced our idea and our objective for the past months. So if anyone wants to contact us or ask questions or just exchange ideas, feel free to do so in our LinkedIn's. They are the same photo, and just research our name.
Just to wrap up, as we already said, we are now building our MVP and talking with our first clients and early users. So our main need is for advisory. So if anybody has any contacts in medical regulation or consultants that can help us get through these regulatory barriers, it will be very thankful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Another good idea. And now back to Porto to welcome Vasco Santos, CEO of DataNow. Applaud the man, please.
Okay, thank you. My name is Vasco Santos. I'm CEO of DataNow, which is a company specialized in business intelligence solutions. When we built the company and started providing services for our clients, we developed the portal so they could analyze their reports and dashboards. And as a CEO of a company, I had the challenge of accompanying the financial and accounting status of my company. That's an effort that most small and medium enterprise have in all over the world. Since the accounting is being outsourced, we don't know how our accounting and financial status of the company is, and that created an opportunity. In our company, we used a standard that was a SAFT file, which is a standard from OECD, which is already been adopted in version 1 or 2 in several European countries. And through those standards, we developed a strategy to build our service, which we call SAFT BI, and our managers and our accountants could upload those files in order to process in our platform and visualize information that otherwise would not be available for managers to take decisions. We developed this approach, and with that approach we could analyze business volume, purchases, spending, compare those informations with other periods, and in this way someone which has small knowledge of accounting be aware of the financial status of the company. Not only the balance on the account, but what the financial status of the company is on a specific period. We developed this approach, and now our challenges and future work in our company is how to marketing and the adoption of this platform. We have already developed much of our platform. Now we want to make aware of this our platform, which is the Soft BI. It's a challenge to get to the accountants. It's a challenge to get to the managers of the small and medium enterprises. And we are trying to use our platform not only to try to educate the managers of something that they are not aware of, and we want in the future to be able to translate and to adopt this approach in new markets. As a future challenge, our platform, we want to customize and automate some advices for the managers accordingly to what are the accounting and financial status of the company. This is our tool, our service. It's already live. We have already several clients that have been uploading their soft files. And in this way, they can accompany the status of the company. We want to challenge you to go see our website, see our platform, use it, ask your accountant for the file, test it, and see the knowledge that you can extract from our approach. I would like to thank this opportunity to all. Thank you.
Hello, it's working. Thank you, Vasco. And now let's move to our panel. First here in Lisbon, please welcome Tomás Archer from iMatch. And a round of applause, please. Now, Rui Gouveia from Build Up Labs. And António Dias Martins, Executive Director of Startup Portugal. And in Porto, Lourdes Gramacho, President of Investors Portugal, and our moderator and my boss, Fernando Fraga.
Vou servir. Som.
Hi everyone, welcome again. So Lourdes, I will excuse me to you before we start, because usually, you know, we say that it is start are the first ones, but we also used to say that the last ones are the first ones actually. So if you don't mind, I think that we will start in Lisbon. Okay? So, to Lisbon. Antonio, you know that we have been here in the same circuit. Can you tell us a little bit more about it, what it was, and what it means to start a Portugal and local ecosystems?
Hello. Yeah. So, good afternoon to everyone and welcome. Sim Circuit is an initiative that ended, a couple of weeks ago, and it involved to showcase the startups and incubators that were approved with grants and subsidies from European funds all over Portugal. So what we did is we started in the north and we went through all regions of Portugal, all districts. So we had 19 sessions on the field together with the local incubators, with the local players, with the relevant stakeholders that, do their businesses and their activities on the field. And we showcased what we are doing in promoting the entrepreneurship activity, entrepreneurs, startups, and incubators. And it was kind of tough for our team, but we had a really great time, and we were very well received by everybody that took contact with this initiative. And it was kind of a ramp up to the final session that we are having in Porto from the 2nd to the 4th of May, together with a SIM conference that is going to take place there. So our goal with this is to show that, and you know, everybody I think that is here in Porto knows that today the region where you are, either if it's in interior of Portugal, next to the sea, in the islands, or any place, it doesn't matter. If you are a good entrepreneur if you want to risk, if you want to do your business. So investors, promoters, universities can go to you, can support you. In Portugal, we have a big sense of community, and we really differentiate ourselves from other countries because of this, because we have a real strong entrepreneurial community. And what we did with Sim Circuit was to go and meet on the field everybody who is relevant and who wants to start a new venture and to create a new business.
Yeah, it makes sense. So, Tomas, going to you, iMatch is an ecosystem enabler. What do you think about this kind of initiatives, these decentralized initiatives? How do you think that they contribute to development of the startups, the ecosystem? What do you think about that?
Hi. So, thank you all for being here. It's quite crowded here, actually. Expecting this, so thank you for being here.
Yeah, here more or less.
Yeah. No, just pretend it's also. It's okay. So, yeah.
No, not technical, no.
Yeah. Going to your question. Well, Startup Portugal actually does an amazing job in this kind of initiatives, and this is super important for startups and for ecosystem players to have a context to act on. An amazing example of this is the startup voucher, which enables this starting point that gives a bit of support net to startups for them to do some things that otherwise they wouldn't be able to do, to make some mistakes, to validate some assumptions, and this what this creates is the work previously done, so that when they meet other types of investor, they have a starting point that's more advanced than previous would be. And this is a great example of how to do it locally, because usually these types of support, they operate more on the big spots, the big cities, and this brings capillarity to the table, and this brings opportunity to everyone, and this is super important to keep in mind and to understand why bringing locally the ecosystem to the table, it's super important to do. So that's what I would stand out on this initiative.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And touching on that, actually, Rui, you are from one incubator, Build Up Labs. Can you tell us how important is that for the local incubators, and also what are the main challenges that you think that there are on doing that, on doing this kind of events, and on helping the local ecosystems?
Sure. Thank you, Fernando. Happy to be here. So definitely, we as an incubator, we are our main mission is to support entrepreneurs, and by trying to be as good as that, there are several things that need to come into place. First of all, we want and need to promote the entrepreneurial route. So that's still something that I think we can do a better job at, is that and we have a lot of young people here, is that to tell them that becoming an entrepreneur is also a way to build your future. I think that in Portugal there's still opportunity to bring that idea of becoming entrepreneur to the front. For that to happen, we definitely need some good references. We need some champions, some entrepreneurs that had success and now that can inspire others to become entrepreneurs. But we also need incentives, and incentives help the decision-making process of becoming an entrepreneur a much easier decision. So all the incentives that we can bring to the ecosystem are definitely key to promote entrepreneurship. Also for the incubator, so as an ecosystem player, the better we can develop our support, our team, the skilling, the tools, the networks, the better support we can provide to the entrepreneurs, the more successes we can bring to the entire entrepreneurial ecosystem.
Let me just, Fernando and Rui, let me just add something that I think it's interesting about this. one of the goals of this SIM circuit was also to bring private investors to know which startups and which incubators deserve the public support from European and state budget funds. And this is very important because, as you know, public funds are not sustainable for all future. You need to have private funds in order to scale your business. But public funds can be very important to give you a first kick, a first support in order to promote you, in order to put you in a good survival mode, and in order for you to address the privates as the private investors as you should, or the best way you can. So this connection between public support entities, startups and incubators, and the privates that we took to the field also, that were also aware of the startups that were recognized as deservers of these public supports, is a very, very important issue. And when we have public policies in place in Portugal that can allow us to give public money to startups and incubators, it's also very important to follow that with private awareness and knowledge in order for the projects to be continued and to scale in the future.
No, and it's really really interesting that you are saying that. I don't know if you have something to add, Rui, but if you don't, actually we have Lourdes here that can give us a perspective on that. This is, as Antonio said, we think it's really important to have this first money, public money. You as an investor, you see thousands of pitches every year. What do you think about that, of this?
Well, thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. And as you know, Investors Portugal, that is the Portuguese Association for Investors on an Early Stage, has associated immediately with Startup Portugal when we were invited to join this. Well, I think we have to fine-tune for next year because we still can do better. But nevertheless, I think it's very important that investors are involved in every step of this process. I agree that pre-seed sometimes, and even some seed startups, are not prepared to receive private money due to lack of metrics, due to a stage that is still too uncertain for private investors to decide. But nevertheless, it's very important that professional investors, and I mean business angels, venture capital, should be involved in this since day one, even with incubators, because it's important that in the programs, in the mentoring, in all the steps of the way, that the vision of the investors that will one day or the other will have the startups needs should be involved. So I agree that sometimes it's good to have a first kickoff of public money. It helps. It helps to, if you, as much as you can get is good, because you don't have to give some part of equity too early. That's also important. But keep in mind that you should have investors as soon as possible, since day one. And that's why we treasure this connection with Startup Portugal, and we will try to be even more involved in the future if possible, because I think it's good for both.
Yeah, sure.
Both parties,
sure.
The startups and investors, and also for incubators. I think if the startups that are there have success, is also very important, very, very much important. It's good for the ecosystem.
Yeah, let's do that. Or to believe even better.
Yeah.
Antonio, we have been here talking about SIM circuit, but at the end of the day, and you already told us a little about SIM, but I would like to understand, and our audience to also understand more about the SIM conference itself. Can you tell us more about SIM conference? What goals does it have, and how do you think it will impact Portuguese startup ecosystem specifically?
Of course. Well, SIM conference, SIM, it is startups investment matching. and it's an initiative that wants to put the founder and the startup in the center and show them and their projects to international investors. This is SIM concept, and goals and rationale. And well, we were preparing this conference for more than 1.5 years. And what a better occasion to gather the circuit that we did in all the country, all the regions of the country, together with this conference that was already going to take place in Porto. So we put together both initiatives. We are going to have inside SIM conference a showcase of the startups that were awarded with public grants and subsidies from European funds, and they will have the opportunity of showing their businesses and where are they investing the grants and the value that they were granted with. And at the same time, we will have in other places opportunity to promote the match between founders and investors. And we'll have really interesting speakers. We'll have, for instance, Tim Ferriss, which is awarded author, American author, that is also a business angel, also an entrepreneur, and he's so inspiring for the international startup community that will be here on purpose to speak at SIM conference. We will also have relevant international VCs like Axel, like Seagull, like Remote First, like many others. We will have also relevant international incubators and accelerators like Y Combinator and others. We'll have also successful Portuguese entrepreneurs that are really an inspiration to all of us. We'll have founders of 4 of the 6 Portuguese unicorns there present as speakers. So what better way to celebrate entrepreneurship and to put founders in the center and to show to international stakeholders, investors and players the best that we are doing in Portugal in what relates to startup and entrepreneurs. So it will be a very busy 3 days of conference. The first day will be the 2nd of May, and we'll go through the 4th of May in Porto. Alfândega do Porto is a very inspiring place, and we will have the opportunity to have time to talk, to connect. It's an intimate and curated environment. We'll have several activities that also are inspiring for our founders and to the investors. So, well, if you didn't register yet, please do. Startup Portugal website. You will have an option with SIM Conference and the possibility of subscribing and registering there. And well, maybe I can give in first hand the big news that we will provide to the participants in this Hangout an invitation, free invitation to be present at SIM conference next week in Porto. So please take care and enjoy the most this conference, because it's made for you, and it will be really a great opportunity to celebrate entrepreneurship in Portugal.
Are you excited with this gift? Great.
Here in Porto, we need to make more loud than in Lisbon.
Yeah.
Day one.
They sound more excited.
No, let me just comment on that, Antonio. That when you talked about the scene of the Alfândega do Porto, I just saw a lot of smiles here in the audience in Porto, so it's really an amazing place. And I'm pretty sure that it will be an amazing event.
Yeah, let me just say that Porto is a vibrant, and the north region are very vibrant in terms of entrepreneurship. They have a real vibrant scene. Well, we invited people from all over the world to come, and they were really eager and interested to know Porto. So this is very interesting, because it shows also that in Portugal, not only Lisbon, the capital, has the main spotlights of the interest of international players, but they are really interested in knowing Porto. We have a very interesting scene in Porto on, for instance, smart manufacturing. We have the major players of industry, traditional industry in Portugal are in Porto, and then want to connect with startups and with founders for them to bring innovation into their companies. So there are a lot of opportunities to sell your pitch and your product to big, real industrial groups that are headed and head office in the north region of Portugal. You have also a big scene of health tech companies, of startups, and startups that come from universities, that are spin-offs from universities. We have a lot of great engineering universities in the north of Portugal that are allowing us to score in this area. So it's really a region to look after, and it's the proof that in all Portugal we are having really interesting initiatives and vibrant dynamics of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, Tanya, the only one.
Well, we are not listening to you, Lourdes. We didn't listen, sorry. Lourdes, can you repeat?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lourdes, no, we are not listening to Lourdes.
Hello?
Hello.
I was saying that the only one that doesn't know how vibrant is Porto and how the secret spot it is the people from Lisbon.
Wow, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's a pleasure. I think it is an honor for us to have it here for the first time.
No, we are really
And
excited. And let me tell you one
Yeah.
thing, Lourdes. At Startup Portugal know very well about that vibrant scene in entrepreneurship in Porto. And we have a team of 25, and I can tell you also that 5 people of our team are based in Porto since last month, and we'll open in the next weeks an office of Startup Portugal in Porto. So we are very glad to do this bridge between Lisbon and Porto and to be really engaged with the Porto entrepreneurial ecosystem.
The most important is that we all work in the same direction to make this ecosystem even bigger and greater than it is.
Yeah.
So be it in Porto, Lisbon, Faro, or Freixo de Espada-Cinta, I don't care.
We are a too small country when you look at it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
3
very
hours
small.
away.
So it's much more what unites us than what does not.
No, and 3 hours away, it's almost the time that you take to cross all one of the biggest cities in Europe.
Well, the distance Porto Lisbon is shorter than Lisbon Porto.
Okay, but let's move on because I think that if we don't move on to next questions, the next comments probably will be a little more strange. So
This is joking, eh?
no, I know.
It's jokes that people from Porto like.
So, Tomás, Antonio have told us about the showcase, and of course, a lot of startups will be at SIM. I know that you work with a lot of startups. Can you share us a few tips? How do you think that the startups must prepare themselves to the showcase and to SIM and to the event?
Yeah, sure. So, first of all, I'm also from Porto, so so I'll just keep on that. And yeah, and Porto is super vibrant, but also all the other spots that we've been are super vibrant, and that's exactly what we did with Sim Circuit. We went there and we catalyzed those ecosystems to vibrate a little bit more, and then they will all vibrate together, ideally in Sim Circuit on the startup stage. So that's exactly where we are conducting this major ecosystem composed by smaller ecosystems. Well, we will have on that stage, we will have startup pitch, we will have incubators sharing their knowledge and their experiences. We will also have investors sharing some conversations. And advices that I would give to startups while pitching, well, I have a pitch on how to pitch, so I could be an hour here, but the main thing I would say would be to be structured, keep it simple, and prepare the pitch towards who you are pitching. Please remember that this is a context that it's unique. You don't have it anywhere else in Portugal, this context that we are creating. So please understand that context and prepare to that context. There's no other momentum as a gathering of people that are vibrating in the same direction. There's no other momentum that is so well prepared to make startups and investors meet. So please keep this in mind and prepare your presentations to keep it sharp, simple, and directed to the point. Investors don't have a lot of time, neither a lot of patience.
Yeah, I will ask Lourdes about that at the end. But before going that, Rui, tell me something. You know, we have here been talking about SIM conference, but specifically, how do you think that events like SIM or the other members of community and their stakeholders can help the business incubators doing their jobs? How does this help you as a business incubator and your projects?
Sure. So an ecosystem lives off the different stakeholders and the different participants in this ecosystem. So definitely being collaborative is a very important part. We've been very close, Startup Portugal, but also the national network of incubators. We just had an event, a national event of incubators a couple of weeks ago. It was a really great sharing moment where all the incubators came together to build a better support for the startups that we are supporting. But yeah, going to the stakeholders, there's for us as an incubator and probably related with the event that's coming up, I think that a very interesting thing that we used to discuss amongst our team is how we act as translators between the startups and the investors. Because even though they are codependent, so the startups need investors, the investors need the startups to invest, they seem to come from different planets. And part of our job is not just to match them, like find the good fit between the startup and the right investor, but also try to translate this interaction, because startups need to understand how does the investor business model works, because they have a business. But most of the startups, most of the founders don't understand the process of the committees for decision making, the investment thesis of each investor. So they just take it personal when they get a no or when they get no answer, and we try to make them understand that it's not personal, it's just part of the way investors and investment funds work. And on the other side, we also try to make investors be more empathetic to the founders, because usually they are not prepared. They are most of the times first-time founders, and they need to be also supported and guided, and investors can also play a role there.
Yeah. Lourdes, do you agree? Do you think that this is the role of the incubators? And by the way, we all know that to find the perfect match is a dream for the investors. How do you think that, well, the incubators, like Rui told us, the other members of the community can help you do that? Don't click.
No, it's working.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. No, well, I think that the incubators have a role, which is a role to play, of course, besides giving a place where the startup can
Not only the office, right?
office place. Besides that, it has a role to prepare the startup in a way, but the most of the work has to be done by the startup. Because really what investors are looking for is mostly the resilience and the drive of the founders of a startup. Because when we are investing in very early stages, or in even pre-seed and seed, what we look for, the main asset in a company are the founders, the team. But which means that they are the ones that have to convince and to match with investors. The role of the incubator here is beside preparing, the founders, and probably with their experience also have them learn, what are the main what the investor is looking for usually, but nevertheless, and this is very important, the real matchmaking is between founders and investors. Besides, I'm a partner on a venture capital, and we never leave a startup without an answer. That's for us is sacred. We have, even if we don't want to invest, we give our help. And we say, okay, if we can see you later, if you go in this direction, or we can even give them some information regarding other investors that would be more according to the project of the startup. So, but again, that's why I think also it's important that the incubators have on their programs, they have the contacts with investors, since even if the startup is not looking for investors at that moment, they should start to build as soon as possible relations with investors to know what are we looking for, and we have to start also very early in contact with the investor, with the startups, because this, if we really invest in the future, this is really a relation that will last at least 8 to 10 years. So we have to know each other very well. We have to build trust. So one of the main roles of the incubators is to find these matching moments and to have boost this contact as early as possible from the founders with potential investors.
And what about other members of the entrepreneurship community, like Startup Portugal? What role do you think that we should have there?
Well, I think Startup Portugal is doing very is giving have a fantastic role and has been performing very well. We have been we know that we are members of the Strategic Council of Startup Portugal, and they have been a great job being made on the legislations, on relations with the government. We have the startup law is a great achievement. Now it's being regulated. I hope everything, and that it's not too bureaucratic to access all the certifications and everything needed. But okay, it also does not depend only in startup. And they're doing a very good job in boosting the entrepreneurship in Portugal, the work with the incubators, the work with the communities, because it's important. We need to have more people, more wealthy people in this case, to look to this ecosystem as a class of investment as good as any other. So we really need to put this ecosystem well known everywhere.
Yeah.
We have to attract investors. We have to attract founders. We have to give resilience and to this ecosystem, because of course we are well known outside, but nevertheless we have still a long way to go, yeah, to make it a mature ecosystem.
Okay. So we are coming
all together, of course.
Yeah, all together.
This is really network and depends on everybody. Everybody depends on everybody.
Yeah, it's true. All together now. No,
we can sing that on the
on sim. We can end sim with that music. So, guys, we are coming to an end. But before we close this session, I have one final question that I would like to ask you. You know. We have been here talking about, we gave a lot of advices to the startups that are joining, we gave a lot of tips, but I would like to ask every one of you if you have any final advice that you would like to give to the startups and to the entrepreneurs that will participate on SIM Any final recommendation, any final advice that you would like to give them? Antonio, maybe we can.
I would say that, well, prepare yourselves and enjoy the journey. I think it's important for you to see who is going to be there, the speakers. It's important also to see the agenda. Be aware next days we are going to put out some additional information about the sessions, roundtables, workshops and all that. So prepare for that. But really, you have also to enjoy. This is for you. This is made for you. This is your moment. If you're going there, you're an entrepreneur. If you are a startup, it's made for you to make it easier in your journey, and you should enjoy it the most that you can. That would be my advice.
Yeah. Well, I can go next. If am I supposed to go next, or is it closed? Can I go next?
No, go ahead.
Great. So I would have a human advice and professional advice. The professional advice would be keep in mind that there are a lot of types of investors, and this also includes corporate investors. So you will find those types of animals also there. Animals as in a savanna. There will also be that species there which behave differently, which have different briefings, which have different agendas, and they are super important to consider as well. Okay, so keep that in mind. As a human advice, following what Antonio said, I would say, besides having fun, and that's a must-have, what makes you enjoy most of times is keeping it real and human. So when making the presentation, make it your own. Don't make it as something that you think someone will enjoy only. Keep in mind what's super important, but give it your personal branding in there.
Rui, any final advice?
I think that I will probably touch on something that Tomas said earlier about being very clear on your messaging. And this is something that we find a problem that we find with founders is that they live every day thinking about their product, their solution, so they know everything about what they're talking about, the problem that they're trying to solve, and they tend to forget that the person they are talking to probably has no idea what they are talking about. So being very simple on the way that you describe your problem, the problem that you're trying to solve, and the solution. Try to be very simple on the message, because all the details can come later. On this first contact, you just want to grab the attention, and you want that the person in front of you, probably an investor, understands the problem that you're solving and the way you are approaching the solution. It doesn't need all the details and the tricky technical parts from that first conversation. That can come later.
Okay, sounds great. Look, you are the professional one.
Ladies are the last here, but
Yeah.
I think the lots of the things are
But the
done.
last are the first also, so if you think about that,
Most of the things are
the last are
already
the first,
said.
so ladies are the first.
Yeah, okay, no problem. Most of the things were already said. What if I can give an advice is that you prepare yourself. Do your homework first. You know what you want to show to the investors that are there present, but you know that also you have to think or to decide who are the most matching investors to your own startup. If you are too early stage, so you probably should not go to international investors, but you should look to the national investors. There's plenty of money here in Portugal at the moment, so you have just looked for that. But you have to see if it's matched. Don't lose your time in doing things that are beyond achievable at the moment. So do your homework, prepare yourself, and then give a first good impression. That is very important. You will not solve anything during the same conference, but you can leave the connection that will help you in the future. That is the most important thing. And for investors is the same. So try to do as much as contact possible, but within the investors of that you can really, that can be interested in your company, in your startup. And besides that, take advantage of the network. You have founders with much more experience there. You have share. It's a big opportunity to share experience. Take advantage of that and enjoy, of course, and enjoy Porto also.
Should. What?
No, there are questions from the audience. Sorry. No, we don't close our session yet. Sorry about that. Now let's go to the Q&A. Okay, here in Porto.
Hi, in Lisbon, you are hearing me well?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm Maria. I did the pitch earlier for Corium Biotech. First of all, I want to take the opportunity to acknowledge all the great work that Startup Portugal is doing for the startup ecosystem. Thank you, Lourdes. It's very important. You are great at organizing events. The above and beyond is very important. Sim circuit, Sim conference. I'm sure it will help enormously startups achieving and being at the center stage. And I think that we need this in Portugal. So congratulations on that. However, I was hearing you earlier in the beginning of the discussion talking about how public funding is important to launch the startups, and I totally agree with that. And I totally agree that the measure you mentioned, the vouchers for startups for green and digital business, could have been major for startups. However, we all know that there were many problems in the management of this particular line of investment, and I must say that for startups it created a disbelief that public funding could help early stage startups, because it gave the impression that okay, public funding will be here but not in the time that the startup needs it to be. And I think that we should all collectively think about that and think about how can we put the money in the startup in the moment that the startup needs it. Because when the vouchers for startups were created or announced in 2022, the idea, which was amazing, was that the startups could have access to the money like in 6 months or in 7 months time from the moment of the application, which is okay with the timeline of the startup. However, we are in April 2024, and some startups, I will not say half, but almost half of them still are in this process of sending more documents, sending documents again and again. And I'm not saying that this is the fault of Startup Portugal. I know that the APME is also involved, but I think that collectively we must think, founders, investors, public management, we should think on how to make this process faster so they could profit startups that are in the beginning and can't access to private funding because they aren't ready for that. So I don't know if anyone wants to comment. Thank you.
Yes, I can comment on that. You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, well, let me just start by saying that it's a hard process to deploy public money from the European Union. So we need to be careful about all the steps, and we are obliged to do so by the European entities. Having said that, Portugal is one of the fastest countries in Europe deploying the funds from European post-COVID recovery plan. We are in the 4th place in all Europe in terms of capacity of deploying those funds. I would like also to say that more than 65% of the applicants of the first phase of Startup Voucher are already receiving money from their applications. In the second phase, we are still in the process of the valuation phase, so we are inside the scope and the time schedule of the valuation, and that we at Startup Portugal will continue to work together with the ecosystem in order to improve and in order to make things as fast as possible. So that would be my comment.
Okay. There is any other comment, question here in Porto or in Lisbon? Here in Porto, we have no.
We have a question in Lisbon.
Almost. Any in Lisbon?
Yep. Good morning. Oh, good afternoon, actually. I'm Rafael Rodrigues. I'm part from the U Globally team, and we work with internationalization. So actually, I'd like to ask you guys, how is the ecosystem, like the Portuguese ecosystem, ready for give you opportunities for foreigners companies to come and to be embraced by the Portuguese community?
Okay. I can also comment on that and then pass on. Well, we have a really friendly community of entrepreneurs and stakeholders around the Portuguese entrepreneurial ecosystem. In Portugal, we have about circa 4,000 startups. These are really vibrant companies that start and are born looking to the international. They have to connect with international partners in order to grow. That's because Portugal is a small country, and for them to scale, they will have to put themselves in connection with foreigners and with international partners to grow. So this is a good opportunity for these international players to come and to open also to Portuguese startups different perspectives on ways to go abroad and on ways to internationalize. Well, we are a very friendly country. We have 300 days of sunshine a year, so what about that? As a good option to come here. But we are also the 7th country, most safest country in the world. And this is very important in the moment that we have 2 wars going on in the world, and this is a very important argument. We are the 6th international country in terms of English-speaking proficiency, including the UK and the States. So imagine. So we can speak English, I think, very well and above the average. We have several supports, public supports to entrepreneurship. Some of them already have been spoken, but we also have public VC that is called Portugal Ventures. We have test beds, we have digital innovation hubs, we have free technological zones. So we have a real good set of public policies that help entrepreneurs to start and to grow their business in Portugal. If you want to know more about this and other programs, you can go to Startup Portugal website. We have there all the programs that Portugal puts in place to help your journey. And as I told you, I think it's one of the main things is about community, helping each other to come and see yourself gather with people that have the same concerns as you, and being very easy to reach all relevant entities in Portugal. And we Startup Portugal can help you with that in a very easy and smooth way. So welcome to Portugal, and we are happy to help you with that.
Yeah.
Can I?
Oh, sorry. Go.
Can I just add that you forgot the food and the wine?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, that is super important, and we have a different offer in each region. But can I also talk about an important aspect? And I'm glad you remembered me about that, but just by talking, is that we have 138 incubators all over the country. So imagine, France has 200 incubators. We, Portugal, have 138. This means that the ratio between incubators and our space, our geography, is amazing. So these incubators can really help you to settle and to grow your business locally with local entities. If you don't need to be in Lisbon or in Porto, you can go everywhere else in Portugal, and you will find an incubator that is ready to help you to start and grow your business.
Yeah. So can I just give a quick advice to the previous question and then get back to this one?
Of course.
So to the previous question, I would say that it's hard and money first is always the better. But what I would say is that this is normal. Everything that I have a company and we are looking for funding, European funding, and it's super hard. You have to go through a lot of process. We have to go through a lot of accountability, and it's part of the process. So what we do, and that's my advice to startups, is I would focus on problem solution fit, traction, validation assumptions, and making sure that the business model is valid. While you have this on your back of your mind that if it turns out, great, but I won't count on that. But when it comes, it will be great. Okay, so that's the advice I would give to startups in this situation. Then getting back to this question, I think Portugal is probably one of the most welcoming countries for startups. It's actually for startups, international startups. Let me say this because we have a lot of programs. We have a lot of incubators. We have a lot of corporate acceleration programs that are eager to know more solutions. We just have last week we had the final the Delta Ventures final, and the winner was an American startup. So this is happening right now. So if you just bring it on, we will definitely have contacts to put you through. Also, don't stay on the obvious places, because you'll find that there's a lot of opportunities on the non-obvious places. A lot of cameras, municipalities are really eager to find digital nomads and to fill these incubators with startups, with capable minds that can transform the potential of those locals. So that's not. Don't think of this as the obvious solutions. Okay, that would be my advice.
Lourdes, do you have any comment on Dave's last question?
On the foreign startups to build. Oh, well, I think Portugal is a very welcoming country. So, and we have already good examples of startups that sometimes founders. First-time founders, second-time founders, third-time founders that decide to come to Portugal to start their new projects. And I think they are very well supported by the community, by the investors, and they are very much integrated. I agree that we should find the community. It means that they make the basic relations with the other stakeholders in the ecosystem. Probably to know more about this, it's good to go to the website of Startup Portugal. A lot of measures and places are there mentioned. And really, if I have to start a project, a startup, I would choose Portugal for sure.
Let me just add something. We sometimes talk about sunshine and food and wine. This is really relevant, of course, because we want to have a good life. But let me tell you some curiosity. Last year, 2023, Google showed the report of the most looked countries in Google search engine, okay, in the world, and Portugal was the fourth in whole world. So this means that Portugal is really on the top priorities of everybody that thinks about moving, going, knowing, doing some different journey and to know a new geography. But it's not only for touristic reasons. That was the past, because we have 300 days of sunshine for a long time ago. It's not just the last couple of years. What we came up doing in the last, let's say, 8 to 10 years is to really add to those arguments really interesting business arguments for entrepreneurs and startups. And I will give you 3. With the new startup law that was published last year, we in Portugal have the most competitive stock option plan tax regime in all Europe, which means that startups will pay only a tax rate of 14%, 1/4, at the liquidity moment and not on the vesting moment. This means that only when your employees will change stocks for cash, then at that moment, at the end and not at the beginning, they will have to pay the tax, and the tax rate will be only of 14%. Spain has 30%, the UK 34%, Germany 20 something. So imagine the real good argument for startups, because as you know, startups have limited liquidity and they need to put on the table additional arguments besides the salary at the end of the month. The second argument, and this is important for foreigners, is that if you are a startup in Portugal and you employ a foreigner that for the last 5 years have lived abroad, then this guy, who is an employee of a startup, will pay a tax, individual tax rate, we call it IRS, of only 20% during 10 years, okay? So, not 30, not 40, not 50% that IRS can go up to those levels, but only a flat rate of 20% during 10 years. Okay? The third one is that for startups that are recognized by Startup Portugal like startups, legally recognized as startups, they will pay corporate tax rate, IRC, it's the corporate tax rate in Portugal, of only 12.5%. Half of what other companies have to pay in the country. So it's not only sunshine, it's not only good food, it's not only community and friendly people, it's real and concrete business arguments to help you to start and scale your business.
Can I just add something?
Can I add another argument? Very important.
This time, ladies first.
Sure.
Well, thank you. I think that the availability of talent is very important. And we have fantastic universities, very good institutions for that. And it's for, if you want to hire people, it's very talented people, engineers, data science, everything that is very important for a startup, you have here. And it's important also for Portugal, because then they will stay in Portugal, and that is also very. But really, we are welcoming all the startups. And we also have another point, we have investors. Investors that are interested in investing in companies here in Portugal, not only, but here in Portugal. So I think that these 2 arguments are also very important to add to the legal arguments that Antonio just mentioned. More legal, tax-driven.
I was going to add something that from our community, we are supporting around 60 startups, but we have 24 different nationalities, and many of those founders are using all the arguments, chose Lisbon or Portugal because of all the arguments that we were discussing, but many of them are also looking at Portugal as a great gateway to Europe. So if the goal is to then expand to Europe, starting in Portugal is definitely a good way to do it.
Okay, unfortunately, I think that we don't have time for more questions, but thanks again to all of you for this session, and I think that now it's really the end of the session. Thanks a lot, everyone. See you soon. João, back to you in Lisbon.
In Porto.
See you in Porto.
Yeah.
Thank you, Fernando. Thanks, everyone, for the amazing discussion. Let's wrap this up just by thanking all our partners that make all of this possible. UPTech in Porto, Ferroviário here in Lisbon, the Porto City Council, Sograp, Superboc Group that will help with the drinks and connecting in Porto, Investor Portugal and 351 Portuguese startup community. I will just remind you to look for us from Startup Portugal in the networking to get your tickets for SIM conference. Thanks again. Thank you all, and have a great evening.
Great.
And now networking and drinking.
Yeah, let's meet upstairs for the networking here in Lisbon.